Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking all things accommodations, how to implement them and how to do it with ease. I'm just going to jump right in. The first thing that you want to do with accommodations is to understand that every student is different. You need to make sure that you review their plan and talk with their parents and the guidance counselor at your school and whoever your resource person is to make sure that you are targeting exactly what that student needs. But in general, I want to share some accommodations and information that I have that has been very useful for me in my classroom. The first thing I want to tell you is to sit students who need extra help closer to you. If you teach predominantly in the front, you want to have those students sit right in the front. If you're usually in the middle of the classroom, have them wherever it is that they'll be in close proximity to you. If you're one of those teachers who circulates, make sure to check in on those students. Okay, these things may seem like common sense, but if we put them on a checklist of some kind and remind ourselves, we're going to make sure that those students are not forgotten on the day-to-day craziness that happens in a teacher's life. The next thing I want to tell you is work with their parents. I know sometimes it can be intimidating to talk to parents and to create that rapport with them, but that's the best way to make sure that the student is learning the most that they can. Sending home extra practice, referring online websites that they can use at home, all of these things are extra ways for that student to be able to understand what it is that you taught that day in class. The next thing that I want to tell you is something that is definitely not traditional, but I'm telling you it works. When you take a test, traditionally, you have students answer the questions on a sheet of paper or on the computer, and then you check the answers. Have you ever tried having your students answer the questions out loud to you? Those students who take a long time to finish, or who seem to struggle or get stuck on one or two questions and it ends up really frustrating them, pull them aside while the other students are testing and have them share their answers in a low voice with you, and that way, you're taking away the writing part. Now, it's still important for students to know how to write, so you're still going to want to have some kind of assessment that can make sure that they have those skills as well. But sometimes if you're just looking for standards mastery, you just need to know that in their mind, the students know the concept. So try that out, even with students who don't need extra accommodations. This is a quick way to check for understanding that doesn't require as much grading and gives you insight to how the student is thinking. This is something that has worked really well for me in the classroom. The next thing I want to tell you is to label your classroom. Whether you have ELL students or just students who have trouble focusing, sometimes labeling the room and the students being able to visualize exactly what each item is helps them to focus and helps them to understand what the items are. Labeling around your classroom makes a huge difference, and it does not matter the grade level. Remember, students who are coming in and don't understand English and are learning the language, they need these visuals no matter how old they are. Another thing, during your lessons, try to use as many pictures, video clips, and animation that you can. For engagement, those things help. It keeps students stimulated, and it's a lot more entertaining than somebody just standing in front of a room delivering information. Another thing, and this is really for accountability for you and to track what you're doing. When you give students an exam, if it is on paper or they are doing an assignment in class, go around to the students who need specific accommodations and write on the top which accommodations you used for that test. This is great when you're referring back or meeting with a parent or a guidance counselor or an administrator. You can say, these are the accommodations I used. It's a great way to see if the accommodations that you're using are working. You can then compare them to another test where maybe you used a different type of accommodation or a classwork assignment, or maybe you forgot one of the accommodations, and see, are those things really making a difference? This really helps with documentation and to make sure that a student's plan each year is what's best for them. I got another tip for you. Assign your students who need some extra help a learning buddy. This is somebody that they can contact when they're at home about homework, somebody that they can ask questions to in the classroom to remind them about certain assignments. This is a trustworthy student who that student feels comfortable with and is able to use as a resource. Usually the student buddy feels like they are a leader and they take on the position with pride. This is a great way for two new students to make a connection and for two students to help each other out. When you're writing your lesson plans, make sure to note in there which students need accommodations and what accommodations you're using. Again, for documentation purposes, this is awesome. It also takes a lot of the planning out of it in the spur of the moment. So Mondays, when you're doing a certain activity, you don't need to think, what accommodations did this student need? It's written there for you. Take the extra work out of it. Do it once, do it right. Make sure that you're using the accommodations too. As teachers, it can get crazy in your day. You're trying to run an activity, you want everything to work out right, you want to make sure all the students understand, and you might forget certain students who need accommodations. We're all human, it happens. When you write things down, it stops this from happening, and it keeps you accountable and reminds you of exactly what each student needs. Another simple tip is to give students who need some extra help a set of books that they can take home. This is a way for them to review the materials and to go over it before and after a lesson with their parents or by themselves at home, just to give them that extra refresher. Make sure to check out reallygoodstuff.com/summerofsolutions. There you will find incredible resources and even more ideas than the ones that I shared today. I would also love to connect with you on my social media platform at Give That Girl a Snack on Instagram. Come and follow along, and I'd be happy to help you guys out and share ideas with you over there too. Thanks for watching.